This is the single highest performing strategy I've used to scale a business significantly in just one quarter. That's just 90 days. So what I'm going to show you in this video is the exact step-by-step process for how we develop this framework, how you could actually implement it into your brand. And I'm going to give it to you all by showing you real results for what we did step by step for the brand that already grew by over 400% in just 90 days. First things first, looking inside their Shopify dashboard, the last quarter they grew 440%. Their gross sales were up 377%. Their returning customer rate was actually down because we drove way more new customers here. Their total orders were up 368%. And if we just take a look on the right side here of their total sales breakdown, we can see gross sales up 377%, net sales up 452%. So there was no massive discounting that was going on. Of the $200,000 in sales that they drove, only 20,000 were in discount. So they only had a 10% discount rate. And as you can just see by this chart, this was basically steady growth every single day over the entire quarter. Now, the craziest part is we did this with only 2 campaigns. This brand was hyper focused on scaling their new audiences only. All they cared about was driving as many new customers as possible at a break-even return on ad spend. But what I want you to hear in this specific case is that this brand only cared about new customer acquisition. So we were able to just strictly focus on new audiences. We excluded everything under the sun that was existing and engaged audiences, and all we cared about was driving net new customers to this brand's website. And when we look at these same results in the Facebook side, we could see that we increased our total spend by $60,000 over the quarter. So we went from spending $23,000 to $84,000. That's a 260% increase, massive scale. And while we did that, we increased our revenue here by $109,000. But we were able to drive over $170,000 from these ads, all new customers. The very first step of this process is to create a prospecting CBO campaign. The core focus of this campaign is that we have a variety of different creatives in different packs. Every time you launch a new piece of creative, you create a new pack. Those packs are very individualized to a set of creatives. I don't care if you have 1 creative in that pack or 9 creatives, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you're always segmenting things out by different packs. When you add a new pack, it's only impacting the ad set level data because it's new creative learning for the first time, and it's impacting the campaign level data. So you're minimizing your learnings impact because all of the other ad sets and all of the other creatives that are actively running in the account are not impacted. This significantly helps the algorithm by allowing the spend to be distributed continuously to the best performing ads without interrupting those ads, and adding in another element that the algorithm can, only if it wants to, shift its budget to. Step 2 is actually setting up your scale campaign. This is very, very important. So keep in mind, we have a prospecting CBO campaign. In this case, we're excluding all existing customers. We're excluding all engaged audiences. All we care about is 100% net new customers to the business. This scale campaign is going to do the exact same thing, except it's going to be a place where we can guarantee spend gets distributed to the best performing ads only. The prospecting CBO campaign previously had $23,000 to spend over the quarter. We moved that up to $43,000 in this quarter. This scale campaign was non-existent. It spent 0, and then we moved that all the way up to $40,000 in just one quarter because we found the top performing ads. So the way that you set up this scale campaign is it's set up like a traditional ASC campaign. The easiest way to think about this is that when you create the campaign and you click on sales campaign, you want this to be the most basic setup possible. This should be 1 ad set, 1 audience, and only your top performing ads. So the way that we set this up is we could use campaign budget or ad set budget. It actually doesn't matter because we're only using 1 ad set. And then when we go to our ad set, this is going to be 100% broad. So make sure you have your correct data sets, your correct performance goals in place. We're using this on a 7-day click, 1-day view attribution window. Then we go to our audience section. The only thing we're doing in this case, because we're only focused on new customers, is we're clicking further limit the reach of our ads, switch setup, and we are going to add exclusions into our custom audiences, right? So we're clicking add exclusions, and then we're going to be adding our existing customers to this exclusion pool. What this is going to guarantee for us is that this campaign is only targeting new customers. Now, the magic in this campaign has nothing to do with our specific settings here. The magic in this campaign has to do with graduating the best possible ads into the scale campaign. And before you could actually graduate those ads, you need to know how to find those top ads. How do you find the best ads in your account? And little secret here, a lot of them are probably hidden. The way that we did this in this specific case was we went into the prospecting CBO campaign. We sorted by all ads in the entire account and we sort by spend. The next thing we did was we opened up our attribution windows, which you can do here, and click incremental attribution. This is going to show us very clearly which ads are better at actually driving net new customers to the business, incremental new customers. Now, you might notice by now, I've said new customers about 20 times. And if your agency or whoever's managing your ads is not talking to you about new customer acquisition, then I would highly recommend you hit that link down below in the description, book a 10-15 minute call with us, just see if you're a fit to work with us, because this is how your agency should be treating your ad account, where they're actually trying to drive net new business to you, not just milking your existing customers and your engaged customers that were likely to convert anyway. What we want to do is we want to sort by all amounts spent, and we're looking for the best cost per purchase or return on ad spend incrementally. And what you're going to notice when I'm looking at this data right here, this is looking at the last quarter, is that there are a few ads that clearly stand out. They're high spending ads and they're below the average cost per purchase in my account. My average cost per purchase for this campaign is $51 and a 1.5 return on ad spend. Now that's actually pretty low, but the devil again is in the details, because a few of these ads have the ability to scale at a 1.6 or higher, which is a whole 10+% higher than the rest of the account. What we want to do in this case is we want to take the highest performing ads by amount spent and by incremental ROAS. We took those ads, and then what we did was we pushed those, aka graduated those, into the Advantage Plus shopping scaling campaign. Step 4, which is the graduation process. This process should happen every 2 weeks. So once you find your top performing ads, you want to take your best ads in the account only if they're truly above your target return on ad spend or your target cost per purchase. And you want to take those ads and you want to do what's called a hard duplicate. Click the duplicate button, click existing campaign, find the campaign you want to duplicate it in, and make sure show existing reaction comments and shares are selected. This is very, very important. If you do this, Facebook is sharing all of the social proof that actually guides the algorithm for who to continue to target with this ad. That is exactly what we want to do. Now, once our top ads actually get graduated into our scale campaign, the key is that we want to nurture this scale campaign strictly with only our top performing ads. The reason that this is so critical and that we don't just throw ads that we think are going to do well into this campaign is because it will actually misinform the algorithm. The thing that we have seen in this case and many other cases is that when you start to interfere and add too many ads too quickly, especially unproven ads, is that the entire campaign falls. What this campaign is specifically meant to do is spend money on your best performing ads. You're not pausing down ads in other spots. That's a big key that everyone needs to understand. If you pause down ads in other spots, high performing ads that is, then you're going to significantly hurt your account. You always are okay with keeping multiple versions of high performing ads active in the account. The next step that you need to follow is to create iterations of that top ad. And that's exactly what we did in this case. So in our scaling campaign, because we were only drilling the top ads in the account, this entire return on ad spend was converting almost at a 2x, which was very, very good for this client, where they only needed to be at 1.6 or higher. In the case of a 2x for this account, our goal was to scale as much as possible. The iterations portion of this is what threw gasoline on the fire. I want to give you an example of how you can take an ad and how you can create many iterations of it really, really easily. I have an ad here from the Skinny Confidential. This I just pulled from their Facebook ad library. I think this is a very strong ad. In fact, it's been running for 400 days. So let's say in this example that this is in fact a top performing ad. If this was the case, if this was a top performing ad, the thing that I'd want to do is identify every core element of this ad and make one swap at a time. Most people, when they think of an iteration, they look at an ad like this and they might say, let me just switch up the background color, or let me just add a different text. Instead of a whole new meaning to beauty sleep, we'll say a whole new meaning to good sleep. Those are things that are going to have very small impact, especially when we get down to the granular level of like how the direction of these lines are, like random stuff like that. What is a core element of an ad is a main character of the ad. The main characters of this ad are the product, this person, and in this case, some of the text that we have on screen. What I would advise doing is A, what happens when we just change up all of the text on the screen? What happens when we change up each of these call outs and the headline? Let's make something more bold. Let's make it more extreme, or let's make it more subtle. Let's see what happens then. The next thing that we should do, which is a huge iteration, is we should change out the model. So instead of having this woman, let's try someone else. Same exact pose, everything exactly the same, just switch up the person. And then another iteration will be any sort of product change. If they could use the same person with the same callouts and potentially a different variation of their product, potentially a different color. Anything that they could do to switch it up would be huge here. There's also different cuts that we could use. We could actually just zoom out, so we're getting more of a wide angle shot. We could zoom in, so maybe we're not seeing this person's full face, we're only seeing lips down. There's a whole lot of different angles that we can take here that are big swings of iterations that are not just change the background color or change one little font or something small like that. That's how we created iterations for the brand that I'm showing you here. And what we did, and I can't show you exactly the ads here, but we had 2 iterations of our top performing ad that completely changed the game for this brand. These 2 iterations alone spent $29,000 combined, representing over 75% of the total ad spend in this specific scaling campaign. These iterations also returned the highest in the account. They had nearly a 2x return on ad spend, which was well above the baseline by over 40%. So step 5, increase spend on new customers when you are above your target ROI. Now, this brand in particular was fantastic at being aggressive. And what we were able to do is every single day we saw an opportunity to scale, we did. They were on board with this. Now, what I'll say is the biggest piece of advice that I can give to any e-commerce brand owner is that when the good is good, get aggressive and double down. In the case of this brand, we were able to scale so aggressively, over doubling their ad spend, over a 400% increase in their total business revenue, not because they were conservative and increased by 5 or 10% per day. We were able to scale this brand so aggressively because we increased spend so much. And we saw that come through by analyzing the Shopify data and the Facebook data for new customers specifically. Now, I broke down a lot in this video and I did it really quick. So if creative is the roadblock for you, if you're trying to figure out how to actually create these iterations, how to get new ads in your account, then one of the highest leverage things you can do right now is create AI UGC. I have a full video breakdown where I go through this for like 23 minutes, exactly step by step on how you can create basically masterclass AI UGC ads. You can click it right here. There'll also be a link down in the description if you want to actually apply to work with us, get professionals on your account so you can scale your business like these guys right here. All right, that is all for this one. If you have any questions at all, let me know in the comments below. I try to reply to as many as I possibly can, and I'll see you all in the next one.